Good evening and welcome to the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners November meeting. We've already had a salute to the flag earlier, so we're just going to start the meeting because we had a small executive session to discuss the construction work that was being done up in the north end of the firehouse. So tonight we have a few resolutions regarding the movement of monies from the reserve fund to the general fund to pay for some of the construction in the north end, almost all of it. And so that's what we have to do there. We're going to start the meeting with the Chief's activity report. Chief Grogan.
Yes, Commissioner. Month of October, total alarm activity was 316, up a little bit from the previous months. 10 of them were actual fires. We did provide mutual aid on 4 separate occasions and received it on 2. In our case, it was standby. I will make note, we went to Mount Vernon a couple of times, and on the last day of the month, while our guys are usually down there covering on the standby, members on ladder 15 did catch a job. Were one of the first ones on the scene and did an excellent job for the city of Mount Vernon, putting a stop to a house fire that was pretty much involved, working well with the city of Mount Vernon crews that were also with them. So commend the guys from North End on ladder 15 that day. I believe it was, Lieutenant Grogan, Scott Dorney, Bobby Conlin, and Tina Kapoor. A lot of great feedback. We're proud of them for what they did there. Shop report submitted on file. Primarily regular maintenance and repairs having been completed, all apparatus in service, as well as we also took care of the annual flow testing on all the SCBAs, was overseen by the mechanic and completed as required. Along with the apparatus, there was one last project overseen by a mechanic, and it's getting the finishing touches. This was the work that was okay to make repairs and convert the base of the hose tower to usable storage space for the members at their request. It really came out very nice. The appreciation of the hard work of Captain Ferrara and the guys in Group 3, Station 1 specifically, and then a few others, putting a lot of effort into it under the supervision of our mechanic. I make note that it was a bit of a rush to get this done, as most are now aware, after only 39 years of dedicated service to Eastchester Fire District. Mechanic John Lucenti, whose name is on countless projects around this district over the years, will be taking advantage of, will be retiring at the end of the month. A little hard to say. I knew the time was coming. We will greatly miss his service. I don't know of anybody that's got his name on more items around this district, and I, for one, will greatly miss him, and most of the guys should as well. So I want to wish him well. By the end of the month, he's still on vacation, but by the end of the month, he will be off the books. So good luck, John Lucenti. Keep in touch. We're going to miss you. Fire prevention was very busy with the months, with the last month, October being fire prevention. There's Fire Prevention Week. It becomes a month-long operation, along with their regular details and work to do. Lieutenant Thomas Pinterval and firefighter Inspector Larry Vitarello presented many presentations throughout the district. Once again, they actually presented to approximately 1,500 young district children, as well as over 100 Eastchester Middle School students through an ongoing program that has been going very well. And this was done with the help of on-duty personnel, and nothing but excellent feedback on this. They're very well received, and they do an excellent job. Fire prevention, as well as the on-duty firefighters who take part and really enjoy what they're doing. Of course, the discussion, Station 5 work is progressing. We are getting into the more finishing work. As recently as today, Commissioner Napolitano and myself, along with the contractor, going through the house top to bottom, and we've put together quite an extensive punch list of things that need to be dealt with. But all in all, it's moving along well, and I'm sure there'll be more discussion later. Also, Station 3, Bronxville, is approved. The roof has been repaired. That's been completed, and there was some damage to the ceiling inside that I will later take a look at with maintenance and see what we need to do with that, but the roof has been repaired, and we shouldn't have to worry about that for a while. And of course, as continues much work at the administrative end of the things, and we continue to get things cleaned up in the front. Preparation for the upcoming commissioners' election is moving along well with help of Tom Andrus, working well together with Mary Lou in the front office there, and Doug Maeda also. We've also got out 20 canvas letters in anticipation of hiring for the next class, and look forward to filling up the vacancies that have occurred over the last couple of years. So 20 letters did go out, and we hope to get a complete response, and we'll have people attending the CPAT when the time comes, and look forward to hopefully a March Academy.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, your plate is pretty full this time. I mean, busy times.
Yeah, and I'm just touching on it.
Yeah. Deputy Treasurer's report, John?
Good evening, Commissioners. First thing I'd like to go over is the report for October 2013. Currently, we stand with a budget surplus of $445,000 approximately. That consists of two items. On the revenue side, we have a shortfall currently of $178,378, and $151,000 of that is the collection of real estate taxes, which is due to us on the 5th of December that we expect to collect. And the expenditures currently are at under budget by $623,000. The revenue side appears in very good shape. We do expect a complete collection of the taxes, and we hope to have that finalized in the first week of December. The expenditure side is under budget currently by $623,000. The one line we continue to talk about, and there is a budget transfer that will follow here, is the overtime line. The board has raised that number from the original budget up $55,000. There's a budget transfer in there again tonight for $50,000 to cover the month of November. Historically, we've looked at that number, and in the November-December period, it seems to run a little higher than normally it does during the year. But we will revisit that again in December as the year closes out.
Here.
That is the Treasurer's report. If there are any questions.
Nope. And the back of pages is the support, line-by-line support of each of the lines.
Correct.
Right? That's what we have on the secondary pages. And copies are available if anybody wants copies. If we don't have them, we'll email them to you. If anybody at home wants a copy, email us, and we will send you a copy. So, and on the follow-up to that, John, we have some recommendations for budget transfers now.
Correct.
For, which is your follow-up here.
And I will read those into the record. The first transfer is from longevity. We're taking $30,000. From EMT training, we're taking $25,000. We're moving the $55,000 into the overtime line. The second transfer is $10,000 from hose and nozzles, $15,000 from coats, boots, and helmets, and we're moving that into gas, oil, and grease. The third is from other, $25,000, $30,000 from longevity, and $55,000 will go into the rent account. At the beginning of the year, the rent account was never set up. It was kind of in it, but it didn't have its own location, so now we're setting it up because the money, when it's actually paid, is charged to the rent account. So that's to clean the account up through the end of November, when we expect to have Station 5 back online. The fourth transfer is from EMT pay, $25,000, and that's going into MTA payroll tax. That number was kind of logged in with Social Security, it looks like, so we're clearing that account out to show where we'll be at the year end. And that's it. Disregard the last one, that's a duplication.
Okay. So what we're doing, just so for people at home or know what we're doing, is we now have more clarity to each of the line items of our expenditures. John keeps track of when we spend money, what line item it's spent into. So we're just having our expenditures match line item by line item against what we budgeted for. So we're trying to make everything uniform, and that's why you're seeing these changes. And hopefully over time, we won't be doing these transfers between lines to clean up labeling.
And we're at the end of the year now. We're very close to the end of the year. The budget is done on an annual basis, and we do reports on a monthly basis, so some of the expenses are straight line throughout the year. So there's pluses and minuses as we go through the months.
Right, and so we're just, starting January, we started using QuickBooks more actively, not January, I guess sometime around February, we started using QuickBooks more actively, and these are legacy issues that are just getting cleaned up on the naming.
John,
So-
real quick, when do we pay the MTA payroll tax?
Every pay.
Every pay comes out.
Every pay? Back to MTA?
It goes to New York State, and I think it then gets directed to the MTA.
Every pay?
Yeah, every,
It doesn't accumulate, in other words, and then
No.
okay.
it's taken out every pay. And that's something that the district pays and not the firefighters. That's an employer tax.
Right, so we get confirmation of that through the payroll company then?
Yes.
Okay.
Which in the past was an issue at times.
Weren't
So
pulling
do
it.
we need
In the
a,
past, we weren't pulling it. It was accumulating at the end of the year.
yeah. So we want a resolution, John, to adopt these changes, right? That's what we're looking for?
Yes.
So somebody want to make that resolution to adopt the changes except for the last one on John's sheet here? So you want me to read them off, or do I?
Why don't you just read the counting codes? and
I'll
what they're
read
going
so I'll make the resolution that we move from line 115B longevity, $30,000, from 116A EMT training, from 202C hose and nozzles, 202A coats, boots, helmets, that's $10,000. Coats, boots, helmets is $15,000. From other, we remove line 307, $25,000, and from a line 112, EMT pay, $25,000, to the following lines. 116 overtime increased by $55,000. I might have read that wrong. Line number 203E, gas, oil, and grease, increase it by $25,000. Rent, line 205, increased by $55,000. And MTA tax, line 634, increased by $25,000. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so. Okay, so those transfers are done. Now, John, I'll explain this a little bit. We have money in the reserve fund that we need to move to the general fund to pay for the construction we had done on the North End Firehouse. In August, we passed a resolution when we received our first bill to do this. Then we realized if we did advertise this permissive referendum, we'd have to advertise approximately 3 or 4 times as the bills came in during the course. So we chose to wait until we got substantially completion with the project, and then we will move all the monies at one time. So that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to do something we did similarly on August 8th, and we will move it all in one block, and then we'll run an ad in the legal notice of the Journal News that we are doing this as a required publication that we're required to do. So rather than incur 3 sets of legal fees for publication, we're going this way. So, John?
Okay, board resolution, amending board resolution dated August 8th, 2013. Resolution authorizing fire district to expend funds from the reserve fund created by the resolution dated October 14th, 1971, authorizing the establishment of a capital reserve fund for capital improvements for the town fire district of the town of Eastchester, New York, for the purpose of repairs to tower ladder number 17 in the amount of $31,716, and capital improvements to Fire Station Number 5, Wilmot Road, in the amount of $626,838, for a total amount of $658,554, subject to permissive referendum. Now, therefore, the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Town Fire District of the Town of Eastchester, Westchester County, New York, duly convened in regular session, does hereby resolve as follows. Whereas the resolution dated October 14th, 1971, authorizing the establishment of a capital reserve fund for capital improvements for the Town Fire District of the Town of Eastchester, New York, was properly created by resolution dated October 14th, 1971. Whereas currently the reserve fund has an available balance of approximately $1,001,701.25, whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners on June 13th, 2013, made a resolution to award the bid on the Station 5 rebuilding project to Seba Construction, the lowest bidder. Whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners determined that in the best interest of the district and its residents to proceed with the project. Now, therefore, the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Town Fire District of the Town of Eastchester, Westchester County, New York, duly convened in regular session, does hereby resolve as follows. Resolve that it is hereby authorized that $658,554 of the monies now on deposit in the reserve fund created by the resolution dated October 14th, 1971, authorizing the establishment of a capital reserve fund for capital improvements for the town of Eastchester, and that the same hereby is appropriated for and can be expended for these projects. Resolved that the resolution is subject to permissive referendum and that the correct notice as such shall be published and/or posted in accordance with applicable law. Resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately and the funds can be utilized after the permissive referendum period has expired, where no legally correct referendum has been filed or where there is legally correct referendum filed, then after a successful mandatory referendum period, I, Dennis J. Winter, do hereby certify that I am the Secretary Pro Tem of the Town of Eastchester Fire District, and that the foregoing Constitution is true, correct, complete copy of a resolution duly adopted by the Board of Fire Commissioners on November 14th, 2013. Said resolution was adopted by...
We have to do that part.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would make a resolution that we adopt as read, and as we have supplied a copy here up front for who would like to read it. So, anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Stiegelman?
Aye.
Mr. O'Hare? Jerry?
Aye.
And aye, so all in favor, motion passed. Now we have to publish this in a newspaper, and this is the next resolution to publish it in the newspaper. Oh. Did you find your copy? Okay. You want to read this one, John, or you want to read it? Okay.
Board Resolution, amending Board Resolution, August 8, 2013. Public notice, Town of Eastchester Fire District. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Eastchester Fire District Board of Fire Commissioners, Westchester County, New York, at a regular meeting thereof, held on the 14th day of November 2013, duly adopted, subject to permissive referendum, a resolution, an abstract of which is as follows. In accordance with and pursuant to Section 6G of the General Municipal Law, the following resolution was passed. Resolution authorizing Fire District to expend funds from the reserve fund created by the resolution dated October 14, 1971, authorizing the establishment of a capital reserve fund for capital improvements for the town fire district of the Town of Eastchester, New York. For the purpose of repairs, said repairs being to tower ladder number 17 in the amount of $31,716, and capital improvements to fire station number 5, Wilmot Road, in the amount of $626,838. The total of said expenditures is $658,554, subject to permissive referendum. The resolution is subject to a permissive referendum as permitted by law. The full resolution is on file with the Secretary Pro Tem and available for review. By order of the Board of Fire Commissioners, Town of Eastchester Fire District, Westchester County, Dennis J. Winter, Chairman, Secretary Pro Tem.
Okay, so I guess we should just adopt, this is what it's going to be in the newspaper, so I would make a resolution, we adopt this wording and publish it. And I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we just, that's done, so you can,
Excuse me, Chairman Winter. It says here, received, conducted a roll call vote.
okay, we'll conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Stiegelman?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Hare? Aye. Commissioner Napolitano?
Aye.
And Commissioner Winter, aye. Thank you, Mr. Wolf, for pointing that out. So, John, do we have anything else tonight on Treasurer's report, or?
Nothing else.
Okay, I think we're moving along very well there, and everything's on schedule and on plan. Tonight, we have the election for the fire district election for fire commissioners on December 10th. Hopefully, this will be the last year we hold a December election. It'll be done on Tuesday, December 10th, between 2 and 9 at 5 polling places in the town. Tom Andres has volunteered to be our chairman for this year's election. He's done an extremely good job, and Tom, can you come up and discuss your planning?
Tom Andrews, resident of Eastchester. The election process is in place, and we're pretty much following the past practices as a guide. The public notices have been published, and we've contacted the involved parties. The election inspectors have been contacted, and they'll be contacted again to confirm their availability. The polling places have been arranged, so we've talked to the people in charge of each one. We've talked to the Board of Elections up the county, because we need to get information from them. We need the pages for the poll roster books. We need the voter registration list, and we need permission, if you will, to have the machines transported from the warehouse in Mount Vernon to the polling places because they belong to the county. And so we've talked to Santini Moving in that regard. So I think that everything is kind of in place, or at least it's in process. And we're now identifying the materials that we need. I think we've identified everything that we need to put in the polling places, and we're involved in the collection process to get all those things together, to put the folders together for each polling place.
Okay, so as everybody can tell, John has put a ton of work into this. This is a large undertaking to get this done in an organized and legal manner. And so it would be good if people came out and voted. December 10th, between 2 and 9, Tuesday, the second Tuesday in December, and there'll be the 5 polling places where they were year after year. If you're a Bronxville Village resident, you'll be voting here in the village of Bronxville. Eastchester residents will vote. There's 5 polling places in Eastchester. 4. Okay, Tom, why don't you tell us where they are?
The Leroy Gregory American Legion Post, and there's the Union Corners Firehouse at Chester Heights, and then there's the Town Hall on Mill Road.
Right.
So there are 3 in Eastchester, 1 here in Bronxville, and then the Tuckahoe Community Center in Tuckahoe.
Correct. So generally, the same people year after year vote in these elections. It'd be nice if more people voted. The turnout is usually not overwhelming, so it would be good if more people turned out. And this will be the last year we probably have a December election. Next year, it'll probably move to a November election. And for those of you who want to use the old-style machines, this is your opportunity to use the old lever machines. You don't have to fill out a computer card. You get to use the mechanical green machines. If you want to show your kids what they look like, come down and vote on December 10th at between 2 and 9 o'clock. Anything else, Tom? That we,
Unless you have any questions.
yeah. No, I'm comfortable. I'm good.
I just want to thank you for your service. I mean, on the most part, the amount of money I think we're going to pay you ends up being voluntarily. You're doing all this work almost on a voluntary basis, so
It is
I
voluntary.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank you. And
We're keeping track.
okay.
And like I said, I'll help you with communicating any of this stuff. We're going to be putting the polling locations on the Eastchester Fire website, so we can always point people there to eastchesterfd.com. That'll be there as well. And then that'll have all their associated district numbers and what polling locations they'll be voting at.
Mary Lou Falcone has the documents that need to be reproduced. And, you know, if we had electronic versions of them, it would be very easy for her. Many of the things just require a change of date or something like that. If not, then she'll have to, you know, redo them. So
Yeah, and
any help you can be with that.
Yeah, and
She
I-
has a list of them.
Yeah, just send them to me, and I'll reproduce them for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Moving on to other business. Tonight, we have a discussion over, we have 5 firehouses. 2 of those firehouses have what we call up-to-date or modern generators, and 3 of them do not. We went out for a bid opening for the generators. Assistant Chief Stupple was coordinating that bid process. Ralph, do you want to tell us how we stand on that and what the results of the bid opening were? Chief Grogan conducted the bid opening this week.
Good evening, Commissioners. As you're aware, we bid for 3 separate locations. The legal advertisement was run on the 10th of October. We conducted a facility meeting on the 27th of October, and the bid closed out on the 12th. We had 4 bidders, and the prices were as follows for the 3 units. RDC Company of New York bid a total of $175,000 for the 3 units installed. Crest Electric of Eastchester bid a total of $186,000 for the 3 units that are installed. Northeast Generator of Bridgeport, Connecticut billed $179,900 for the 3 units. And Pat Kearns Electric of Carmel, New York bid a total of $184,950. The bid was structured to allow prices for each individual unit as well as a total of the 3 to realize an economy of scale for the 3. The lowest bidder was RDC of New York with $175,000, and that's the firm that successfully installed the unit in Station 5. The second bidder, price-wise, was Northeast Generator at $179,900. I haven't had a chance to view their references currently, but they've all been reviewed in the past on previous projects, and they were satisfactory, and they're both, in my opinion, reputable companies.
Okay, so I guess the decision we have to make as a board is, do we want to go, we have actually 4 options. We can put one we refer to them as Station 1, 4. But do we want to just go with one generator in headquarters? Do we want to go with and we just should make mention, the generator in headquarters is like a 1958 Studebaker. I'm not kidding when I say that. It's a 1958 Studebaker, so, or Rambler block. So it's lived its useful life. It's so we know we have to change that generator. The one in Chester Heights is a pull portable Briggs and Stratton or something, and similarly is Tuckahoe. So the houses we're talking about are Chester Heights, headquarters, and Tuckahoe. Bronxville and the North End both have relatively new generators, the same model, size, style we're putting in here. So gentlemen, 3, 1, 2. How would you like, should we just do all 3?
All 3.
I would go with all 3. Get it
All
out.
3? All 3? So all 3 it is. So then we get all 3, and we're done with all 3, and then we have current generators in all our firehouses. So that leaves us just, because we'd have other choices if we decided 1 or 2 or 3, the way they did the pricing. So, so RDC New York, so I would look for a motion to award the bid to RDC New York and start this project before it gets too cold to pour the foundations.
Yeah, I would agree.
RDC is going to be 175?
175 even, right?
Yes, sir.
That's for the 3 units now.
3 units.
Correct.
3 of them.
They were the lowest, sir.
And they did work here before, correct?
They completed the installation at Station 5 successfully.
And we're happy with that? You're happy with that?
Yeah, I was happy with them. They were easy to work with. The product was fine, and they adapted to the needs of the firehouse being aged. They worked around that, which was good.
Well, if we had them before, they
When
did the
was that
job
installed?
correct.
Excuse
When
me?
was that installed in Station 5?
I think it was in 2007.
So it was working during Storm Sandy?
No, the firehouse was out of service.
It did go on, though.
But it was running.
Yeah, it would go
was
on.
running.
Yeah, it worked.
It was running.
It went on.
It went on.
Ralph, the same outfit that did the Eastchester Town Hall?
Yes, they've done, from my understanding, quite a bit of municipal work in Eastchester. The Town Hall, I believe they did Handle Field, and if I'm not mistaken, they may have taken care of Tuckahoe Village Hall also.
So
Yeah, I would
it's
say-
work they're very familiar with.
You happy with 3, Chief, or?
Yes, it's been fun.
I would stay with them, too.
Okay, so I would look for a motion that we award a contract for $175,000 for RDC, and and the bid specs that we're talking about here have all been vetted by council, so it's not like we haven't, I would award it to RDC subject to Mary Lou Conroe, not Mary Lou, Mary Lou Conroe's office reviewing appropriate contract specs. So we'll award the bid subject to them reviewing their contract and comfortable with the contract.
Well, they already have.
Right, so well, there's going to be an execution agreement, right, that somebody has to sign?
Well, yes, we'll have to send tomorrow, hopefully, the contract out to them. They have to execute it and return 2 copies, and then they have, once it's executed, once the board executes it, then it's 75 days of performance.
So we need to execute it today, and,
Okay, all righty, so I would, you want to make a motion that we go,
yeah, I mean, I think we have a statement, too, that we want to say, right? So you want me to read it, or you read it?
oh, I didn't see that. Do we need to clarify that on the
The lowest
on the
bidder,
motion? Okay, fine, go right ahead.
Okay, so we're making a motion to reward it to the lowest bidder. The difference in the bid amount is $4,900, which is a substantial savings to the district. The district has an obligation to award this to the lowest responsible bidder, and as a trustee of taxpayer funds, we need to be frugal in our purchases. No bidder was provided a substantial advantage or benefit. Also, after the opening, we received a bid bond in the correct amount. They cured their failure prompt. I don't believe this is a material variance, and there was no substantial advantage or benefit given. I make a motion that the best interest of the fire district, that RDC failure to include a bid bond in the original bid response is not material, and that it did not affect the competitive characters of the bidding or give one bidder a substantial advantage or benefit, and that we accept their bid bond. So that's actually the motion, that we accept their bid bond, and then we need to take a vote, if we all agree.
Anyone else?
Anyone want to second it?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Stiegelman. I make the motion to move forward with this RDC as the winning bidder
Well,
for the
Let's
location.
do a roll call on that first part.
Okay,
Mr.
so roll
Stiegelman?
call.
Aye.
Mr. O'Hare? Aye. Jerry?
Aye.
And aye.
And make a second motion that I make that the award be to RDC for all 3 locations
In the amount of
in the
175.
amount of $175,000. Second that?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Stiegelman?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Hare? Commissioner Napolitano?
Aye.
And aye.
Okay, so what time? We got both.
So if you can initial who made first and second on those, and we'll put it in the record. Okay, very good. Ralph will want it, since we'd like to see them get these foundations, because they have to pour 3 foundations or 2.5 foundations, because one might be in place already. We'd like to get these things in before it's too late in the season, so,
Well, like I mentioned, as I mentioned rather, upon receipt of the letter from us indicating that they received the award, they have 10 days to return it, and upon the execution by the board, they have 75 performance days, so I'm sure they're eager to get on it also.
right. And as a note, we would like to have done this sooner in the past year or two. The problem is Sandy hit, generators became scarce, we were afraid of the bidding. So right now it's kind of a lull, that's why and we knew in the North End project, we didn't want too much going on. The North End project is about in its wind-down stage. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
But I mean, quite honestly, I think it's just a concrete slab. That could be poured in the winter, so.
I'm sure they won't have any problems. We can always-
Ralph, it's really only 2, Station 1, I think, the slab was good.
Station 1 has an existing slab, and they have to certify that it's sufficient to support the generator. Station 4 will need a new pour, as will Station 2. They're going to take out the concrete behind the firehouse and sink a new slab to ensure that it has enough ballast to hold the units, which are pretty heavy.
So Station 1 is priority, so it looks like we're in good shape there, because that's an indoor slab anyway.
Station 1 is the priority. We want Station 1 done first.
Outdoors. What?
One is going outdoors now?
They're all outdoors.
They're all outdoors.
Well, one is out indoor right now, is it not?
The Station 1 currently is, they're all currently
Oh, the
indoor.
existing, I'm sorry, you're right, yes. It's
Yes, so is
replacing an
the
existing-
Station 1 going on the existing slab?
It's going on a slab that's existing but hadn't been used for generators.
Ah, okay. I
Yeah.
thought it was
There
going.
was at one time years back, a rather tall radio tower out back next to the shop, and the slab is still in good
Do we
shape.
have to, how much money do they want up front? How much we gonna give them?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
No, right. What happened was to get away from having people post bonds, which were expensive for them to post, we gone with, you complete the project 100%, and then we'll pay you.
Well, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That way it
Otherwise,
saves
we're
them
not
money
gonna
and
give
saves
them
us money.
Until all 3 are done.
Correct.
That works.
So otherwise, that was what happened last time, a year or two ago when we went out. It was just before Sandy we went out, there was a struggle over that. We didn't get enough response back.
That's good. That works.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Good job. This was, these were second by Stiegelman.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
So, now, committee reports, we have career, Mr. Napolitano, anything?
We've been having some regular meetings, pretty good cadence, I guess, with the local, myself and Commissioner Baker. So it's been going good. We've agreed to have the union create their own email account, which I think Sean might speak to tonight. The email account will allow us to manage any grievance processes that are going to be officially coming through, so that all the commissioners get notified all at the same time, and then correspondence then would go out in the same manner We would then also then allow them to gain access to all the documents that are pretty much public domain, such as their CBAs. I don't think, Sean, you got a copy of all your CBAs somewhere, do you? Yeah, so we do. So we have them all electronically now. They'll be able to search through them electronically through their account. And the same thing goes with some meeting, we're trying to put all the meeting notices, all the meeting notes on electronically as well. People will be able to search through that as well through the union so that they can research any questionable resolutions that the board might have made in the past or present. So that's where we are on that.
But that's a longer, getting all the books online is a longer,
We're there. I mean, we got 4 years in there right now, right? About approximately 4 years. That's all searchable.
we have contracts going back to 68, I think.
Yeah.
CBA's going back to 68, all online. Okay. Anything?
That's it I had.
Okay, volunteers, Mr. Stiegelman?
Yes, I just have one thing. Just waiting for the volunteers, a lawyer, to come forward with their tax number. They're still working on it. I haven't received it yet. I spoke to Anthony before, and their lawyer is still working on getting a tax number for them. That's all I have.
Okay, house and apparatus, Jerry, do we have any, do we already? have-
Yeah, so the chief went through, we repaired the roof over at the Bronxville Firehouse. The renovation in Firehouse 5 looks to be on schedule. Like the chief said, I did a walkthrough yesterday as well as today with the contractor and with the chief. The only outstanding thing that would prevent us from moving in there right now is getting a large amount of urethane on those wood floors. We're not satisfied with the amount of urethane that they put down. This is something we want to do before anybody moves in. So that is something we're going to be working out with the contract by tomorrow, actually, I think. We're going to have, we're going to have to decide to get that done. But everything is on schedule. We don't see any component of the construction phase that would prevent us from moving in. There's some minor things that need to be cleaned up that all can be done even after we move in. Nothing that would create major dust or anything like that. All minor punch list items that could be done while the firehouse is active. And we're still looking to, discontinue the trailer on the 21st of November of this month. So that's still on schedule, which is the week before Thanksgiving. And the other thing I want to say, kudos to John. I'm envious of him. After 39 years of service in the Eastchester Fire Department, he gets to retire and enjoy the rest of his life. I wish him well. I'm envious, like I said. I can't wait to get there myself. So. And that's all I had.
Budget and finance is myself, and we've discussed that already this evening, so we can move to the next. Communications, Mr. O'Hare?
Nothing this evening.
Grant, I don't have anything. Do you have anything for grants, Jerry?
No, nothing on grants.
The only thing I'll mention is this time of year, between now and February, is
Fire grants.
archive grants, too. New York State Records Archives gives their grants out in February. We may want to think about having the assistant chief focus on getting a grant out to the archive people to get our mic.
Start, yeah.
I think the grants for archives is February. Yeah, I think there's a separate New York State agency for archiving files, and they're very helpful. We called them last year right around February, because when we realized we had a massive file system reshuffle we wanted to do. They said the grant cycle had just finished, so just if we can see if there's a possibility we can put basically we have minutes going back to 1918 or 1921 or something. We'd like to get all those digital. So that would be a grant thing. Health and wellness, Jerry?
Nothing.
Technology right behind that? Nothing on technology. Okay, so we're good on the committee reports. Tonight's unfinished business, we talked about the Station 5 reconstruction already. We talked about the generators. We put a bid out for an RFP out for a new auditor. We're going to hope to get that early December, and then we'll hopefully select a new auditor by December to do the 2013 audit that is due in the spring of 2014. So we're trying to push that forward. The chief has forwarded the command car bid package to the law firm for review.
Yeah, that'll be the next one going out.
That'll be the next project we're going out for bid on, will be the command car. And pretty close, we're going to be exhausting the reserve fund at this point. With hiring new firefighters, we have possibly 6 to 8 new hires of firefighters. We've sent out 20 letters for CPATs. We are probably short somewhere right now, either side of 6 firemen, or will be by mid-next year. The 8 might be an optimistically high number. We may not reach that number, but this is a ballpark. We don't know. So I think 6, it'll probably end up being somewhere in the either 4 to 6 or 6 to 8, depends. But we won't have that, cross that threshold until sometime in March or February when the hiring happens. Fall CPAT, we discussed, the chief has gotten the letters out. The chief has been extremely busy. He got the letters out with the help of John to all the candidates who were on the civil service list. And I think right now we're going to people who scored 85 or above.
90s and 85s.
90s and 85s. ID card system and security system, we want to put a camera system in the shop area. We have a lot of tools and apparatus and all that stuff back there. And we want to do something with an ID system, so we need a proposal back within, hopefully in the next meeting, for something to that effect, maybe. Station 5 proposed move-in date, we're going to have to, the chief will have to work with Jerry to figure that out in the next couple weeks, next week. Permission of referendum, we already took care of. Payroll service, we need to work on that. The doctor's search, there is a candidate in the offing. We're going back and forth. We'll see how that works out. Retirement system healthcare premium recovery. We've sent out letters to all the affected retirees between last meeting and this meeting. It totals $800 and about $10,000 worth of monies the district sent letters out for of uncollected healthcare premiums. That was going back for 12 years. So those letters have all gone out to the affected retirees, and they basically have received 0 communications back to us. There's been nothing inbound on us. The retirees who were billed, the affected retirees who were solicited to pay their health care to get current with the active current billing, that has been very successful. Almost all, we've made communications with every member who we needed to get them current. They pretty much have all gotten current. I think we had one where we had to send a cancellation notice out to for the family plan. But the rest, by and large, everybody is now current, and several have moved to the the pension system, taking the premium right out of their pension. That would be ideal if more people moved to have their health care taken directly out of the pension of these affected parties. It would be cleaner for us, cleaner for them. And just as a comment, the pension system will not pull retroactive money out of a pension or disputed money, so there's no fear of that. And that's it for the tonight's unfinished business.
Well, I have a question on that. I'm one of the retirees who received one of the papers on that, which I have no problem if I owe money, due to a mistake made years ago internally. If you owe money, you pay it. I think everybody should. But with that said, the letter that was sent to me was never signed by the chairman of the board. I think the chairman of the board should be one of the men signing that paper. And number 2 is, it was said that I received the notice before in that matter, and I never received a notice before. That was the first notice I ever got.
Yeah, I think.
I have it in my wallet tonight if John would like to see it.
Yeah, I think, Ray, when it comes to you and your health care issues, it's not probably an appropriate place for me to discuss.
Well, the only reason why I'm bringing it up, because I don't want to hide nothing, because I'm an elected official. and I don't want nobody to say I was running around trying to steal money. This was an internal problem above and beyond my control, which I never knew about. And whenever it was turned over to me as a retired, and I went to be on Medicare, I immediately had everything taken out legally out of my, by the state. So I don't ever had to send a check in a day in my life to the fire district. So if there was a mistake made, I have no problem, and I have no problem paying the money back. I would like to have the deputy treasurer let me know what is out there as far as payments. Does it have to be all at one time? Does it have to be in 2 payments? Is there A, B, C, or D? And I think that's what you, because it also said, without your name on there, it said the Board of Fire Commissioners. Well, it was addressed to me as Mr. Raymond O'Hare, not as a commissioner. And as you know, going back years ago when Commissioner Fennelly and Albany and myself were here, we brought an outside lawyer in, which cost the taxpayers X amount of money, where I am perfectly legal to sit on this board and be a fire commissioner, but I have to abstain from voting yes or no when it comes to health problems, health issues, according to the contract, which I did. I always did. So when the thing on the bottom of the letter said by the Board of Fire Commissioners, it's not really the board, because I can't be part of anybody else getting billed out here. So I like to make that stated to the public. And I do think that, as when I was chairman, I had to sign every paper, whether it would be the union contract, was the chairman O'Hare, or anything, firing people, hiring people, whether I liked it or not, I'm the chairman. When you take that seat, I think you step up to the plate and put your name on the paper. So that's the only thing I'm not happy with. So if I owe money, I'm really happy to pay. I just wish you would have direct the chairman, the deputy treasurer, because it's not his mistake, I believe it's your mistake, Mr. Chairman, to please give me what options I have to pay, when I can pay it, how long I have to pay, and what I have. And I'll be more than happy to take care of the problem. I just want the general public to know that.
Right. I don't want to, it's probably not appropriate to debate it.
Well, it's
but
me, I'm not talking about anybody else. You can debate anything you want.
Right, but
I'll give you permission to do it.
but nothing to debate. What happened here is this conversation came up.
Dennis, there's none to debate.
Well, I think that the council was trying to call and seek information to void, and what we did was, the letter that went out, we were requesting $810,000 from a series of retirees, roughly 20 of them. So it's a painful letter to send. It wasn't fair to have the deputy treasurer, who just joined us, to have to ink this letter. And since it's a board issue, we thought it was appropriate, and council thought it was appropriate to send under the title Board of Fire Commissioners.
No, I think the appropriate title, in my opinion, would be Chairman of the Board Dennis Winter,
No.
members of the Board of Fire Commissioners.
No, that's incorrect.
Every legal document sent out whenever I was here and before me was always whether you fired somebody, hired somebody, signed a union contract, the chairman of the board always had his name on there. If there's nothing wrong and the people are wrong, was a mistake made, why are you afraid to put your name on the document?
Well, we were trying to it's a
Well, you're a commissioner on you. What's the difference if your name is there or not?
the problem here, Ray, is it's an issue that we
Well,
know.
the issue is this. Since you want to discuss it, let's do it. The issue is this, is that you didn't have, none of you board members, and I don't believe Mr. Stiegel was involved in this, had the common courtesy to come and tell me this was going to take place. Nobody ever told me that you gave, what's her name, our labor attorney, okay, permission to go to my pension file, and she sent it from her office down to me, what I'm doing in the pension plan. Who gave her authorization to go into my private papers when I didn't do anything illegal? You didn't have to spend taxpayers' dollars and send it registered mail, 6 1/4. Here I am right here.
Well, we can't give you any different preference that we did than
I
any
didn't
other
ask you to give
retiree.
me any different.
Yeah, you did. You
I'm
just
giving
asked
you,
it.
I'm giving you.
You just said.
All right, I'll
so
make a mistake.
You said that you wanted the courtesy of a call from someone in the board member before we notified the rest
I
of the people.
want to know who
That
gave-
is a courtesy you just requested.
Okay.
You requested the courtesy.
I would like to know
We
when the
cannot give you any courtesy different than any other retiree.
Thank you, I stand corrected.
So-
Who made them, who called the meeting? Who made the motion? Who seconded the motion to start this on everybody, including me? Is it in the minutes? Can I have a copy of those minutes?
It's an executive session.
And there's no minutes in that, you're gonna go after these people. So nobody held a meeting, some just members of the board said, hey, let's go after $50,000, $60,000 from widows and everybody else. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
In executive session? That's not how we phrased it, but when we identified the issue in executive session.
But you had to call a meeting without my knowledge.
No, all our executive
All
session
seconds have
meetings
been-
were you were
You never
notified.
brought, let me tell you something, I know you're lying. I'll tell you why you're lying to the public. Because if we sat in this room right here, going back, before we got Mary Lou here, the words out of his mouth, Mr. Baker was sitting next to me over here in that room. You were sitting next to Mr. Baker. He was sitting on the other side,
Ray, if it was
right?
discussed in executive session,
I'm
we
gonna-
don't want to discuss it
Well,
here.
I'm going to discuss it. Fire me. The pay's not that good anyway, okay? And you said to me, you're not going to be too happy 8 months from now. You remember saying that to me, Mr. Chairman? And the union ain't going to be happy? No, I'm sure you don't. But he was there. So you knew about this over a year ago. And I did retire in 1999. If you're going back 12 years, I think there's a little mistake. Because this is going to be 2014, I think.
No, we had a,
2009,
There's no comment.
I-
Dennis.
okay, no comment. Well, how can you back 13, 14 years? That's what was sent to me. All I owe is from 1999, according to the deputy treasurer, and he's going on what you told him to do, somebody did, all right, to 2006, because that's when I went up to Medicare, all right? If I owe money, I've been paying my way since I was 17 years old when my mother died. I never owed a penny, okay? I don't need you to slander me in this town. I was born and raised here. So all I'm asking is just go by the book and step up to the plate sometimes, that's all. Other things are going, oh, people owe money around here, and for some reason they don't have to pay it back. It's shoved under the rug. You know? What's good for good is good for everybody, you know? People say there's not information out there, but there is information out there. And you know it, Mr. Chairman.
okay.
I'm done.
The topic we're dealing with is a difficult topic. It affects board members, it affects, it's been a difficult topic for this board to deal with.
Just one board member, me.
Well, it also affects,
Actually, it affects 23 families,
I know who it affects.
as well as another
I'm
26
not going to talk about those
families. So
other
we have
families.
23 families, I believe.
But I think,
Hang on, let me
if you're going to do the job,
No, let me.
and I'm
so it
senior
affects-
man, who are you to overrule me?
There's
So let me,
23 families.
I know what it is.
I was telling the public,
Just a
there's 23 families that have been paying the premium and 26 families that haven't been paying the premium. That's who it affects.
I know what all
So
it is.
whether you're on the board or whether you're not, it's 23
have no
families that it
problem with
affects
that.
and 26 families that haven't been
You
paying.
can smooth it
So there
over
you go.
nice.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
that
But
black and
I
white.
think you should at least explain to all these people out there what option, and not make them come on their own, and not threaten them that you're going to cut off
think,
their...
I
We
think.
didn't threaten anybody.
We didn't threaten anybody.
We didn't threaten anybody.
We,
We just
but,
informed them of.
That if you're not paid within the month or so, you're going to cut your
No,
your
we
wife
did
off.
not.
no,
You did not. You did
let's
not. You're
clarify.
mixing it up.
That's
wrong.
Jerry, let me clarify. There were two issues to deal with. One was getting the retirees who were not paying their family membership percentage of the health care current, so we could continue to provide that coverage for those family members. NYSHIP has a rule that says if you don't collect the premium, you can't keep them on the policy. So we could not send out letters to get people current so we could keep them on the policy. So we sent out letters to the affected parties saying, here, pay us for, I think it was 2 months, and then in November you'd have to pay again, and you will be current. We're not canceling you unless you don't pay that percentage you owe us to get current. After we did that, and those people are pretty much all are current, we had one member we had to cancel the policy on, and they received notice that we were going to be doing so.
And that's only their family policy.
And that's only the family plan, not the member.
But also,
Then we and then we have a fiduciary duty as a board to advise anyone who owes us money, regardless of.
Anyone.
Anyone who owes us money on this deal, to send them a notice, and we calculated how much the money that is. Now, we had to hire someone on an hourly rate to go through records going back 15 years, as long as we could possibly go back, reconstruct billing records, calculate who was paying, who wasn't paying, figuring it all out, reconstruct this all as $810,000 problem, and then send that to the affected party. In the middle of doing this, this is what the board has been dealing with. And I'll make it very clear. Fortunately, we have Jerry Napolitano, Mr. Baker's not here, and myself have been spending the majority of the time dealing with this. What you have is, not only did that happen, we go to an executive session meeting. Mr. O'Hare was not there.
I have to excuse myself because the lawyer that the taxpayer spent money on
Let me just-
said I cannot take part of any health plan. So if you're just going to have a meeting, an executive session on health plans, I can't be in there, and I'm not going to come sit down here and go home.
So Mr. O'Hare was not at that meeting. We passed out a piece of paper. This is what we're dealing with. Why we're trying to reconstruct all this, spending time. Remember, we're volunteers. This is not a paid position.
We're all volunteers.
We're all volunteers up here. While we were reconstructing this healthcare thing, we had a sheet and said what it would look like going back 6 years, because that was the first cut we did, and then we went back to how much it would totally be. That sheet, by the time we left executive session in the front of the firehouse, to the time we got to the public meeting room in the back of the firehouse, sometime in that intermediate time, that sheet was faxed from our offices in the captain's office to the union's attorney. Okay? We've asked the Eastchester Police to look into how that happened. I think we've sent 3 emails now to the Eastchester Police asking them, you guys got any response how this happened? How's your investigation going?
Well, see, that was a violation of personal information because the sheet had everyone's social security number.
The sheet had everyone's social security on it, so we were advised by counsel, we need to proceed. Now, more taxpayer dollars spent because we had to find out how this got leaked from the executive session to the union's attorney, and then the union's attorney was nice enough to mail it right back to us with the fax number on it. So there wasn't a lot of detective work there to figure out what the timeline was. So, but we have not heard from the Eastchester Police as to how their investigation's going after 3 emails. This silence is deafening. But, so that is where we're at. So is this a confrontation, is this issue a sore issue? Yes, it is. Does it cause ill will for a lot of people? Sure, it does. But at the same time, we have to reconstruct the North End Firehouse. We have to fix the books and records in the firehouse that this process was allowed to happen, which we have done. John Mozart has done a phenomenal job. So we've reconstructed the accounting. We've rebuilt the firehouse in the North End. We've complied with at least 4 or 5 regulatory issues that we've got sprung on us between February and now. We've dealt with personnel issues. So we're moving along at a very good clip. This issue is a troubling issue and would normally consume everybody's time, but we can't let it stop us. We have to keep moving forward, and that's what we're doing as a board. And it's really Jerry, myself, and Mr. Baker.
Well, could I ask you a question, Mr. Chairman? And like you just said, I wasn't at this meeting where this paper is missing. How many, was there papers handed out at that night? Being I'm a commissioner, I think I should.
Yes, there was a paper handed out that night
With the people.
with the social
In other
security
words, there
numbers
was
on
more
it.
than one paper handed out.
It was one paper, it was handed out to 4 people.
Yeah, each person got a piece of paper.
Each paper
So
got
there
a
was
copy.
4 papers.
That's right.
Now, why would you give out 4 pieces of paper with social security numbers when you could just have it here yourself and keep it in that office so nobody could take it and get it out to the
It was an executive session. They weren't opposed. It was in the office up front in an executive session.
Yeah, but why are you giving, who authorized you to give out 4 papers with people's social security numbers on it, no matter how it got out? There
The
should be
union-
one paper, this is this, you tell him, you tell me, you tell him, and this goes back in here. There's no reason for
I
these.
don't know- I
anybody
don't-
to-
We're not sure where you're going, but it got
I'm not
faxed,
sure where you're going with that.
but it got faxed back to
Why do you
us.
let people walk out with social security numbers?
They weren't opposed to.
They
Their
weren't supposed to.
officers, their
So you had a
officers,
shredder, they're supposed to all put it back in the shredder that night?
their officers are the fire district. Every one of these people I handed to were officers of the fire district who have a duty to the fire district.
Yeah.
In an executive office. I think that's fair.
And by
Now,
the way, as a commissioner, no one has to authorize us to go into personnel personnel records. I can go in there anytime I
Well,
want.
if you want to do that, go ahead.
So just to let you know.
Well, you
So when
can
you
do
say
that.
someone needs permission, I don't need permission.
Well, if you want to do that, go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. I can do that if I wanted to. So I don't
You
know
can
your
just take
point.
my social-
You're making a reference that you have to get permission to look at personnel records. I think you, out of all people, should know that as a commissioner for all these years, that you don't need permission. You have the right to.
Well,
Okay?
we went
That's
down
it. It's
road
that simple.
before. Well, that's the way you talk.
No, it's not the way, it's that simple. You have a fiduciary
You have a right to
responsibility
take my
to look at the
papers.
only thing that we're not
You
supposed to
have
be
a right
looking
to
at.
take my
The only
papers and
thing
send
we're
it
not
up to
supposed to
my
be looking at is
lawyer.
medical records.
You sent my papers
The only thing
up-
that you do not have as to look at medical records. And we have separated that for the first time in the history of the fire department this past year.
Why did you
So
take
all
my...
before that, medical records were commingled with personnel records,
And that's fixed.
and that's fixed.
Good. Now,
And our general counsel, just so you know, our general counsel is going to be privy to every document in that firehouse. That is just what general counsels do. You have a counsel in your fire department. Their job is to protect the fire district. They are officers of the court. You have a right to send them anything you want, review it, and come back to
We
you.
don't need permission.
That's it. That's
So
what we
don't say
do.
we need permission.
all right.
All right, there you go.
So, so we're moving, the bottom line is, we're moving ahead. It's painful. Do I wish we ran into
How
this
does the-
problem?
I have one more question. How does the people who is affected with this, how do we know exactly what the calculations are us? I mean, with all due respect to John, he says I owe X amount of money. Fair enough. But can he show me that back in 1999, what the going rate was for the group for the fire department?
Yeah,
Right? Well, I would respectfully request that if you could show it to me.
Yeah.
And there was a time period, because I retired half a year, right? And then there was a 3-month grace period, I think was on that first piece of paper somebody said.
Correct.
So you really don't start mine until September. So 99 is only for 3 months at the most.
Actually, yours is the simplest one.
Oh,
There's
good.
more complicated ones where we
I'm
have,
sure there is.
we have more complicated ones in which people have gotten divorced over the years and then remarried, and then they put their secondary family or their new
know what
family
they
on the
did,
plan. So
believe me.
yours would be a pretty easy one for John to figure out.
Well, all I need is those calculations and everything, and I'll be more than happy to pay it. Tell me how I have to pay it, what A, B, C, and D, and I'll be glad to pay it. I'm done.
Okay, so needless to say, as you can tell, this has been a all-consuming issue. And just as the North End Firehouse, just as all these other issues we deal with are
There's a lot
all-consuming.
of other items that haven't.
And we also put away a CBA this year, collective bargaining agreement got put away and done. So I think we're moving along in a very constructive manner. And the other thing we did this year was, we had one 207A member who we overpaid, $200,000. No, it was some number around $200,000 for the last, number of years, and we stopped those 207A supplement payments after a hearing. So that was the hearing over the summer. So these things just don't happen in a snap of your hand. You have to go through due process, and you'll see our legal bills are high this year, but I don't think they're that high relative to what we're getting accomplished. So I'll move on to the next business, which is Local 916. Sean, do you have anything for us?
Good evening. Sean Stewart, President of Local 916 and a resident of North End of Eastchester. Just a couple of quick things to ask permission for, and then I just wanted to make a comment about what you said, Dennis. This is the annual Toys for Tots drive, and we've been doing it for the last probably 10 to 15 years. So on behalf of the local, we'd like to ask permission to use we started getting toys, believe it or not. We didn't put the signs up yet, but we'd like to use the firehouses as drop-off points for Toys for Tots, if that's possible.
Okay, but I think the north end, we probably should hold up on until we get people back in there. So don't bring anything in there or Station 6 until and hopefully we'll be by the end of the month, so it won't crimp your style.
Well, that's a good point, because all of a sudden overnight, boxes showed up in the back there, because Station 5 was always the deposit area from the other stations for the Marines to pick up.
Correct.
with everything going on, maybe could we try for a different station, like maybe here in Bronxville or something?
We can use the back room in the, we can use that extra room in the common room in Station 1.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I
Yeah,
just wanted to
because
let,
he does have a point, you got a lot of different people, although I think the workers have been good up there. It's just,
It'll get dirty,
yeah.
so don't bring it there.
yeah.
Well, no, what, if they do end up there, we'll make sure that they come down to Station 1.
That might be a good idea. We don't have anything planned for that back room. Maybe those boxes can come down, we can put them around the wall in Station 1.
Okay,
Is that Frankie Nance again? Or
no, it'd be, Joe Costanza,
Joe Casaka?
Little Joe, as we call him. The next, thing we'd like to ask permission for, we have our annual Kids Christmas Party, which is gonna be Sunday, December 22nd at Station 4, and the hours are from 10 to 2. Usually a breakfast, and Santa comes and...
Right. We haven't heard from the Civic Association down there, right, so there's no conflict?
As
I don't
far
have
as
any
the
problem with
tree
it.
lighting, yeah, they do a tree lighting, but
You guys don't usually conflict with them,
No,
usually.
we usually make sure that we do it later on in the month so it doesn't
Right,
conflict.
right.
the only thing, well, not so much the Civic Association, if they want to use it, they have to accommodate our schedule.
Right.
Is there anything else going on, Anthony? I mean, usually you guys work it together,
Yes, we
one
work it
follows the
out,
other. So the 20, oh, there you go, okay.
Okay, so that's fine, Sean.
Okay, thank you. Also would like to thank the public over Columbus Day weekend, the Dare to Wear Pink. We raised approximately $1,500 for breast cancer awareness, and over the last 4 years, we've raised a total of $6,500, which is going to the Susan Colmaine breast cancer. Also would like to thank the people that are supporting our holiday raffle, and if anybody needs any other tickets, just contact us at the firehouse. Basically, what the holiday raffle is for is we do a lot of charity events. We have the 3 local high schools, we do scholarships, and we've been getting a lot of good support this year, and hopefully it keeps up. And we just like to thank the public at this time for their support of this program. And the raffle will be drawn on our regularly scheduled meeting on December 18th. On November 30th is Saturday. It's our annual turkey bowl with the Eastchester Police Department. This year, they decided to keep it going, and all funds and monies raised were for the DPW worker in Eastchester that was killed tragically at work. So if you're around, or if people want to make a donation, they can stop by Eastchester Police Headquarters or one of the firehouses, and the game will be at 1 o'clock with refreshments later down at Mickey Spillane's. Station 5 you mentioned. We don't have a move-in date, but we're getting close. The part B to the question is, who's moving us in there?
Saturday,
Santini Brothers.
Sanford and Son?
Santini Brothers, we just hired them for the,
it'll probably be Saturday, right after Thanksgiving.
Doesn't matter.
I'm only kidding.
I know we moved out, us as the working crew, but we did discuss with the board and the chief about hiring somebody to move that stuff back in.
Yeah, right,
Is that what the district is doing?
I don't know. I know there was a discussion back a while ago that we were contemplating doing that.
it's not that much to move in, it's just beds, nothing else is coming.
Well, you got the weights, you got the lockers.
Lockers,
You got new lockers,
we got new lockers.
You
They're
got new
getting thrown
lockers, you
away.
got the weights that gotta be moved,
you got weights there now.
so.
All right, so weights and beds, there's nothing else that's coming.
Well,
TV, you're gonna get a new TV there.
Okay, well, what I'm saying was we moved in, us as the guys that worked that day.
No, we'll get a mover,
Okay, that's what I'm asking, okay,
Well-
that's fine,
we need to get a mover, because someone will get hurt moving.
right. Okay, so there'll be a moving company. I heard you mention the doctor, Dennis. I know Max Sullivan is, gonna be our doctor until we find somebody. After the end of this year, if we do not have a doctor under contract, what is the move for the district and what do we do as fire personnel if we're calling in sick or we have to see somebody.
We'll
We're
work
still
that,
gonna
we'll work that out between ourselves and the chief. We'll deal with that.
We're not expecting any lapse there.
We're not expecting a lapse. We're hopeful that we can get something done.
Okay, but again, I'm just throwing it out there. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, but we have the December meeting to worry about that. We'll worry about it now.
All right. Next, the mechanic. I know John is retired, John Lucenti, and I wish him a lot of luck in his retirement. I know there's been a posting for that position. The question is, right now, if a piece of equipment breaks, we do not have a mechanic. What is the procedure? Where do we go? What do we do?
Well, we have, as you know, we run a number of apparatus, right, Sean? And we have backup for pretty much every piece of apparatus. So there are times when we could run low, and if we run really horribly low, something bad happened, we could always borrow a piece of apparatus. So that is, we have relationships with the vendors who service a lot of our equipment that we can call in to service something. So,
we
and
do
we
have-
have posted, because we want to follow union protocol, we posted the job on each of the firehouses. We are hopeful that one of the membership who is skilled in mechanical services or has mechanical ability or more come forward and is interested in the position. If they do, we'll come by and we'll sit down with you and them and negotiate to see if we can retain their services.
So
And
we
if-
have third-party mechanic vendors.
We have people that
No,
we
well, again, that's my question. I know there's a posting and we hope to get somebody maybe within
Right,
house.
but
the-
regardless, if we need to fix stuff, we have third-party vendors.
So we do have something in place, so if something happens until that,
We won't be able to turn it
we
around.
we
We're
have
not gonna be able
people
to
that
turn
have
it
been
around.
in-house,
okay.
we have
Was the-
a
There was a
line.
little question when I went to work the other day, God forbid something happens, you know, a rig goes down, what does the captain do?
But John,
The rig comes out of service and
out
you
of
do
service.
something else.
Right, but there's-
Like smaller departments don't have us, they call somebody.
yeah, and John's taken vacation over his 39 years of service. He has taken vacation from time to time. And so, the same issue there. And we didn't have a deputy mechanic, you know.
No, but in the past,
I'll say, Sean, I'm not looking forward to this. It's one hat, I don't need another hat.
Pretty good mechanic.
There are ways around it. Other departments, not everybody has a mechanic.
Right.
It's not something, I do not want it to stay like this, but we'll survive.
Yeah.
It's not, I wish something had already been in place. John begged for something to be in place because there's a lot of information that needs to be passed on.
right.
But we do have relationships with other facilities, you know, as much as John could do, he didn't deal with everything. We have an association with Ruscon, with Route 29, who will show up with their shop on wheels, and, you know, so we do have relationships there. There are repair facilities, just like if your car breaks down, there's
No,
places.
no, I understand, but there was confusion in the firehouse amongst the tour commanders. If something happens, what do we do? So I'm just asking a question, I'm not pointing
Maybe
the
they
finger.
should
You call the
Ask the
assistant
chief.
chief, and then the assistant chief calls the chief.
Yeah, how come they're calling you?
Excuse me?
Why were they calling you and not the chief or the assistant chief?
Because I happened to be at work when the two of them asked me, so I figured
They're in the
tonight's...
same house. They should be calling the assistant chief or the chief.
Oh, okay, there's a plan in place, that's all, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I noticed the last couple of months, John has said that we're under budget. So the question then is posed to the board and the chief, as part of the contract, we would get 2 training days. And the question is, since that's been reported for the last 3 months that we're under budget, we would like to schedule this second training day before the end of the year. Or are we going to be able to carry it over and have 3 for the year 2014?
That is, see, Sean, I don't know if that's an issue for this board. That's an operational issue for interpretation of the contract. So I don't think it's something we're going to negotiate here.
Well, no, I'm not negotiating. I had a discussion with the chief, and the chief was worried about money. And he explained himself very clearly, and I understood it. But now I've heard for 3 months in a row that we're under budget, so I'm trying to help the chief by saying, hey, there's money in the budget, we can get the second
But we're
training
not,
day.
Michael, I'll do it, Mike, hold on. What we have is, we just moved $800,000, $650-odd thousand out of the apparatus fund. We just spent another $175,000 on generators. And then we're going to spend another $100,000 on a command car. That's $1 million, roughly. We have $1 million in the apparatus fund. That fund will be zero. Money is fungible. So what'll happen is, we did tonight, we have our bills to pay, and we probably have $100,000 in certs or $80,000 in certs we didn't know about 3 weeks ago. How much, right, John? Some high number in certs we didn't know about 3 weeks ago. So while we think we have an excess budget today, we are on the kind of a modified accrual accounting system, so you can't really, we have to be conservative in how we spend money. That's just what it is. And if the chief is trying to be conservative on spending money for overtime because the board's directing him to, he's just following he's following the process. I understand what you're talking about as far as the second training day, but we'll have to discuss that with the chief, and it's not this forum. That's not the forum to do it.
Well, again, it's just based on the numbers that I'm hearing. It has nothing to do with negotiations. When you hear, sitting here, from my point of view, and I'm not saying John's done anything wrong, and I'm not trying to put him, the pressure on him, but when you hear that you're under budget and things are going good, I understand what you're spending. There's no reason why we can't get that there.
Right,
Because the chief was worried about the money, and we did have that conversation in the office. But when you hear it 3 months in a row, you're kind of going, wait a minute, things aren't that bad.
Yeah, well, we'll discuss it later.
All right. Medical director. We would like to contact the medical director, and who is he, and here's why. We provide a service here as EMTDs, okay? With our training, we provide a very valuable service along with EVAC and the 3 police departments, and we work very well together. With our training, we get what we call continual medical education, and it's through the contract. And with our skill set, we will be able to, and then we have to get a hold of the medical director, and we could use EpiPens, albuterol, baby aspirin, and nitroglycerin. But in order to do that, we have to contact the medical director. So the question is, who is the medical director?
Billy Winkleman.
No, I think your medical director, this is me without researching it.
Sentence.
Yeah,
Billy Winkleman doing the Remsco paperwork, that's listed, it's the same person for EVAC.
No.
Lawrence Hospital.
no, he's talking
No,
about,
medical director for the department.
Is
You
the-
work under a doctor's license.
should be.
Who is our medical director for the Eastchester Fire
It's the
District?
it's the head of emergency at
Doctor
Lawrence
at
Hospital.
Lawrence Hospital. Billy
Is the
has,
director-
it's not the same person that it was for years.
Well,
Even EVAC operates under this doctor. In other words,
all right, well,
unless we're talking about something different.
no, you have to work under a doctor's license.
It used to be, Sean, it used to be the EMS director, it used to be my understanding, it was the emergency room physician at Lawrence Hospital held the license for EVAC, and that's how I understood it. If that may have changed, because I'm sure every once in a while somebody wakes up and says, why am I doing this? And probably runs for cover. One of the other interesting things is EVAC townwide. The municipality for EVAC in general, not Eastchester Fire, but EVAC in general, Eastchester Volunteer Ambulance Corps, the town is responsible for the primary responders, not the fire district. So the medical response is the requirement of the town. The town is supposed to have a contract in place between itself and its medical service provider being EVAC. I don't know if they do.
They have to.
I don't know if they do.
Have to from the
Yeah, but what I'm saying
I
is,
don't think, well,
if-
you'd have to research
if
it.
it's the doctor at the ER room, if it's Dr. X, somebody should contact Dr. X to make sure that, A, they're still our medical director, B, would he or she like to do that, and C, this is what we would like to do. If not, the fire district has to find somebody, because I know EVAC And a couple of the local police departments, I don't know if it's Eastchester or Tuckahoe, do not have the same gentleman or person that was there a couple of years ago. So that's the question, because if it's Dr. X on file, does he or she know that he's our medical director, and do they want to be that? And if they don't, then we need to find a new medical director.
Well, our
So-
medical, or your training comes through a third-party vendor we hire. And that's what Mike is referring
No,
to.
that's something completely
I
different.
know it's different than what you're
I'll
referring
tell you
to.
this, so
Billy
dispensing
Winkleman should have the
dispensing
name.
medication can only be done by a paramedic. A paramedic gets his direction from the EMT director that supports the EMT ambulance service under contract.
Okay.
It's my understanding that EVAC's medical director comes out of Lawrence.
That's right.
And it would be one
Right,
and the
but who,
same.
but who is it? Because I
Billy has the
understand.
name, Sean. I don't know the name of
Yeah,
the
it's
top of my head.
changed.
You're
It's on the-
EMTs, you're not paramedics.
Well, there is, I
We
know.
do administer medication.
They have
Oxygen
changed.
is medication. So before we get
Depending
into
on the
medical.
program, it's not automatic. It's not automatic. And again, there's a lot of paperwork involved for the EpiPen.
Right.
For even administering aspirin.
Yeah.
There have been some medications that they've added to a list that an EMT can
And
do.
these are it.
Or like for
Oxygen.
years, we could assist somebody with glucose. You could actually give it to them, you could assist.
But as an EMTD, we can administer oxygen, we can give EpiPens, we can use albuterol, which is a breathing treatment with the oxygen. We can also administer baby aspirins, and nitroglycerin. Those are medicines, those are medications, but under our EMTD certificate, we can do that. The question is, we would like to do that, but we need to contact the medical director and say, okay, we would like to do these
Has to be
protocols.
signed off on.
Right.
Yeah, but it's complicated.
Yeah, sure, no,
Because
well-
we'd have to go to our insurance
Sean,
carrier
I understand
and
what
make
you're
sure-
talking about, and we need to sit down with Billy to work on this.
I think
Because
it-
it's all there, it's the paperwork, it's on file with state.
But it's complicated because we're going to have to go to because right now, our insurance carrier believes we do X. And if we're going to expand it past X, we have to get their blessing to expand it past X. This whole thing of medical services provided is going to change dramatically with Obamacare. And people are going to, the whole Affordable Health Care Act is going to change how services are provided because hospitals are going to, I won't say they will, they may go on diversion when they figure out the patient has been there in the last 30 days.
Actually, so the way it works is, under the Affordable Health Care Act, patients can't come back to the emergency room for the same ailment within 30 days. Well, they can, but if they do, the hospital won't get reimbursed because they performed poor care. The number one reason why people return back to the emergency room is because they don't take their medications. So it's in the best interest of the emergency room to proactively verify that the patients they discharged took their meds. Because if they don't and then come back with the same ailment, they're not going to get their money.
No, I
So
understand that, but
that's the new direction that Dennis is
So
on.
this area is going to change.
Which, by the way, could be done by the fire department as well.
Right.
The proactive effort.
There's going to be a cottage industry that's set up doing this. There has to be.
right, but again, we don't know who our medical director, we're assuming it's somebody that's running the ER, but we're not sure because nobody's contacted
Right,
that
so we'll figure it
individual.
out.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we provide the service, and if the medical director says it's fine, then we have these other things that we could, service the public with.
I agree.
I've talked to both, well, I didn't talk to both attorneys. I've talked to our attorney who has spoken to your attorney, and I did mention this to Dennis about the MOA for the health insurance. What the understanding is and what we would like to memorialize. Now, I know it was written up, Mary Lou had it, and was passing it on to the board. Did she, and did you guys have a chance to discuss it?
Okay, what the attorney communicated to the board will not be for public discussion. And two, it's probably a topic for another day besides a public board meeting.
Okay, but you have that information. I'm not asking you to go over the X's and O's, but
Just verifying.
Yeah, we've got the information. believe we got it, and it's not for discussion.
Well, you either believe you got it or you do have it. There's a difference.
Yeah.
You do have it.
Yeah, I believe we have it.
Okay. All right. And finishing up here, Jerry had said that we've been meeting the first Tuesday of every month. We've made some headway on some things. Some things are a couple of years old. How it got that far is beyond anybody's belief. And I thank Jerry and Stephen for moving forward, and we're getting a few things. And I will wrap it up with this. You have received a communication from myself and the union in an email and a hard copy. I'm not going to discuss it, but I will say part of the problem here is, Dennis, you keep saying everything's fine and we're moving forward. You can't put the rose-colored glasses on and say it's okay. You have the health insurance problem, which we don't know how big or bad it was, and you knew about it back in January, and the district let it roll.
Sorry, Sean, we didn't know in January. We didn't get
Oh,
access
let me
to the
finish.
records.
I didn't interrupt you. Please let me finish. Thank you. We knew about it in January because you spoke to me personally about it. So I'm not making that up. I'm not pulling it out of the sky. So to let it roll for the retirees for another year was wrong by the fire district. That's number one. Number two,
Sean,
wait,
Sean,
let me
you do
finish.
not
Look,
represent the
Dennis,
retirees.
look, let me finish here. I didn't cut you off. Please, I respect the chair and everybody else. I wasn't cutting anybody else off. That's not just wrong. You talk about collecting money, okay? You said we're moving forward. Every time we talk about the $115,000 that was lost, oh, we're moving forward. Somehow you have to find a way to go get that money, go to whatever department where it is, and go get it. That money was lost. You got to go get it. How you go about it, I don't know. But you can't say we're moving forward and then just let that $115,000 go out the window. That's not fair to the taxpayer or the public.
We need to reapply, we need to start over and reapply.
All right, then let's
We need
move.
to reapply, we have to
Okay, then-
start from scratch.
Mike,
Then
let's move on.
Let's move forward on it. You can't say that. You're saying everything's fine, and then you're coming up with these different problems and difficulties here. So things aren't fine, okay? There are some hiccups, and that's okay, but that's okay. But don't say everything's fine, we're moving forward, okay? And as far as the content of the letter, we are asking officially right now, and board members have been asked in the past, grievances haven't been answered. We don't care whether the chief says yes or no. We have an option after that where to go. They're not answered. There are over 12 of them that go back a couple of years ago. If they're not going to be answered, we are now asking the board officially, just like it's in that document that was sent to you, and I'm sure you called Mary Lou, and I'm sure she said, don't talk about it. It's probably the union is looking to do something. No, what we're looking to do is take these grievances off the table, win or lose, whether it's the district or the union, and put them to bed. They've been discussed. They're not answered. We're not in violation of the contract. The district is in violation of the contract. And we would just like to settle them. We're not saying we're going to win them all. We might lose them all. But to sit there and not answer these, that's just not right.
Okay, what's the next topic, Sean?
That's it.
Okay, have a good night.
So I wasn't here for the dormitory grant.
I'm sorry,
I
Jerry?
wasn't here for the dormitory grant as a commissioner.
Okay.
I agree with the chief, you have to reapply. How did we apply for that past?
These guys actually did.
They did it.
Well, if it got moved from one department to the other, maybe the chief, maybe Mike knows what department it got. It used to be the dormitory authority.
The money was appropriated through the dormitory authority. And I'm afraid to say the year because it's been so long. Supposedly in June of the past year, it was reappropriated because they hadn't received the final paperwork. It was reappropriated by legislative act to the Economic Development Organization, which would require a whole new application. It was lost. Quite simply, the one piece of paper that I never received was.
You don't have to defend that, Mike.
We don't
I just wanna
defend
know-
that.
No,
We know where that came from.
then let's reapply. That's all I'm
asking
saying.
the same,
So,
Sean,
hang on
you
a
want to
second.
carry that ball forward, go right
start
ahead.
over again.
So let's do it again. What help do you need?
Well, this is,
We'll help support you, do it the same way you did the past time.
well, this is what I'm I'm asking
We
you,
need to see Mr.
if it went to the dormitory authority when it first started, correct? That's
No, but
what,
in other words, it was sitting in the dormitory, said, oh, you're not needing that, they need it over here. They gave it to somebody else.
okay, so does it have to be reapplied to the dormitory?
We need to reapply for, no, it wasn't an application to the dormitory. You remember, that was done through Klein, and basically, you guys worked on it. I'm giving you put it together with Klein, but basically, it's not the senator handing you the money. It gets appropriated through a different avenue. Now it's like you've got to start the process all over again. Because,
So let's just do that.
yeah.
So can you start,
And again, my question is, we started with the dormitory.
It might be worth
Alright.
talking to Mr. Latimer and find out
Alright.
if there's something out there. We'll explain to him what happened and how it disappeared.
Okay. And like I said, we are requesting to meet with the full board to discuss these grievances so we can put them to bed one way or other. As I said earlier, we have met with Jerry and Stephen on the career committee, and we have put some stuff to bed, and we're moving forward. We understand things take time, but not to get a reply on a grievance, whether it works in the district's favor or the union's favor, that's uncalled for. That's all we're asking for at this point. Thank you.
Anthony Laurie, do you have anything tonight? Volunteers.
Okay, good evening, gentlemen. We weren't here last month because we weren't told that the meeting was canceled, and I went to both village halls and town hall, and we saw no one around last month, in the second Thursday of the month.
so we went through this, give me your email address, you'll get the distribution that everyone.
We don't have an email.
None of you guys do?
The men have them personally, but as the volunteers, we don't have one.
So why don't you get a general Gmail account like Sean is doing with the union?
Okay, we'll take care of that.
And you'll get on my distribution list just like everybody in this room has.
Okay, all right. I want to thank Commissioner O'Hare, yourself, Commissioner Napolitano, and Sean, the Local 916, for coming out on renaming the Gold Star Mothers Bridge Chief. Also, thank you for bringing the apparatus out. I know there was a little mishap there with an accident there. We appreciate your help.
Not with the apparatus.
No, with two vehicles there.
There was a car accident during
The
the.
guys ended up going to work while they were there, yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you for your attendance, and thank you, Commissioner Siegelman, for attending our Veterans Ceremony Monday. On fire hydrants, you know, I went to Chief Stupple one time, and he took care of the matter. There was a fire hydrant near the post office on Fisher Avenue. Just keep blocking it up with garbage. And he took care of it, and it has not been blocked anymore. But there's the fire hydrant in front of the laundromat on Mill Road, and the fire hydrant on top of Wallace Street and Underhill Street. Last night I had to get out of my car. I had 8 bags of leaves and a lawnmower, not put near it, right on top of it. And other places, they're putting leaves right on top of it. I think it's time that maybe the fire inspector or his helper start issuing summonses or call police. You guys are going to be in trouble someday when you get there. That fire hydrant on top of Wallace Street and Underhill Street, you could go there any day of the week, and they have garbage and junk, not put near it, right on top of it. The shopkeeper on Mill Road, I told the guy, and he said, what are you worrying about? You don't own it. And I told the guy, in the event that you have fire, your store gets on fire and the fireman can't get near the hydrant, you're going to be in deep trouble. And I think this should start being enforced, Chief, really. It's getting really disastrous, believe me.
It's not there, yeah, the laws, basically, it is really more of a police matter, it's an obstruction, just like they write a summons for a car. What they'll tell you, they didn't see who put it there.
I know, but, you know, it's the homeowner right in front of the home that I have a fire hydrant right in front of my house. Nothing goes near that fire hydrant, you know? And I appreciate Chief Stupple, he took care of that one matter over there.
The one on Fisher Avenue, that was oftentimes, the containers were put up the street, it was as the guys dumped them from the truck, they would put the...
Yeah, but no, the man put all the bags out there that loaded with garbage and all that. It's a shame that the people don't use their common sense. you know? And about the voting for the commissioners. The people on Garth Road have to go all the way over to the American Legion and vote?
I believe so, yes. They, at Bell Road.
Why is that? When you have a general election, they have a polling place on Garth Road.
I agree with you, but right now, we have the same 5 polling places we've had in the past. Next year, that'll probably be solved with the election.
Okay, all right. And that's about all I have, and the only other thing I have, John Lucenti, I wish him good luck. We go back many years, maybe 100 years, from our grandparents, our parents, ourselves, and even our children are with their families, friends, and I wish John a lot of luck. And I know John very, very well. We only live 2 doors apart. John's worked hard, and God bless him and his family wherever they go on their retirement.
Anthony, you bring up a good point about the Garth Road voting. Is there something maybe we can arrange with the Tuckahoe trolley?
I don't know. I can't answer that. You'll have to go to the village hall for that. Any type of information written that.
Tuckahoe trolley, that's, driven by the General Polk Foundation?
Tony knows that.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm only the driver. If anything, you have to call the village hall, arrange that. And besides, the young lady in the office told me I'm working down here that night.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, Tony, thank you.
By the way, I wish everyone happy holidays and happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
We're going to have, how about right now, have an opportunity for the public to talk to the board, and we'll have board comments after that. Is that okay? I must put it down wrong on my list here. So would anybody like to address the board? Mr. Wolf, let me have the gentleman in the back there.
Yeah, sure.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Roger Nichols. I live at 98 Park Avenue, Eastchester, New York. And I have 2 questions for you gentlemen tonight. The first question is that election that was supposed to be held, for some reason was postponed till next year. And he said through legislation that it was supposed to be done in a general election this year, and it wasn't done.
No.
Go ahead.
What the reason why the law got passed, the governor passed the law,
Right.
and he changed the law, and he signed it very, very late. And so by the time he signed the law, our notice provisions had lapsed, and we had not communicated with the county yet. So the law has to be signed off on by Westchester County, the commissioners at Westchester County Board of Elections. So the timing was not, it was too close for us to really coordinate with them and have them bless this election for 2013 to be in November.
Right.
So we've reached out to them and said, how about right after this election that just happened, the November election, we will talk about next year's election. We didn't want to confuse the public and start talking about November election, December election, November. So we'll wait to have a more full discussion after the December election about what we're going to do next year. But right now it's December because the governor signed it. He had that bill passed probably in April or March. And
Waited 3 months approximately before it was sent to the executive chamber.
yes,
And how things work up in Albany, I'd rather not comment on.
so he waited on it 3 months roughly before he signed it. We're glad he signed it. Prefer earlier, but he signed it. Next year, we should be ready for a November election. This year's December. So,
Okay, that answers my first question. The second question I have is that I noticed on my tax bill that there was supposed to be a 2% cap on all increases. The fire district raised our taxes 7%. And I don't even know if half the people know it, but Eastchester, Bronxville, and Tuckahoe, all the taxes were raised 7%. The way I know is that I pay my taxes myself. Now, if you pay escrow, you have no idea why the fire district raised the taxes 7%. And I'd like to know, before I know you cut me off, is why we don't have a chance to vote on the increase that you people make. I
That's-
mean, I know we vote on the school budget, why can't we vote on your budget? In other words, it's 5 people deciding, you 5 people deciding on a 7% increase. If you made it 20, we have no say at all.
Correct.
I mean, we have a say how we elect you, why can't we have a say how your increase goes? That's the only question I have.
Your comment is 100% correct. I couldn't agree with you more. And that is why I drafted the original legislation to change the election probably 3 or 4 years ago, because the commissioners have more power than most people believe, and we are unique in the sense that we have a career department, and we live in an expensive neighborhood. And so we are an anomaly in New York State. Normally, fire districts are set up where you have the volunteer fire department, and the December election is for the volunteers to appoint their board to oversee the purchasing of trucks and this type of thing. And New York State has actually changed its laws on how you can raise taxes to buy equipment. It's not as free as it was 5 years ago. They've made it more restrictive, where you have to go out for referendum and stuff like this if you out for a vote, if you're buying large equipment. They haven't changed it for the budget. They put the 2% tax cap in, and they said you can override the tax cap if you get 60% of the vote. Well, 60% of the vote for a fire district is 3 members, which is the normal thing you need to do anything on a fire board. The school, you put their vote out, and they go out for, you have to vote up and down the school budget. Fire district, you don't. You don't vote up and down a town budget either. If the town wants to raise their taxes a lot, but in the town, you get the opportunity to throw people out every 3 years. I think it's 3 years, right? What's the town board seat?
4 years.
Okay, so 4 years and 2 years. So that's the governor. So if the supervisor goes too extreme, the public can take care of it. Here, a fire board is totally unaccountable to the people. It just is. And I'm saying it's unaccountable. Well, I think it's unaccountable. My view is it's unaccountable because you're in for 5 years. And as soon as you get elected for 5 years, you're accountable 20 days away from your election day. So within 20 days from election, you have to put your petition in, and then you can get on the ballot. So if anybody wants to get on the ballot, they still have till next Wednesday or Tuesday, the 20th, to get on the ballot, get 25 signatures, you're on the ballot. You're accountable only once every 5 years for a 7-hour window on a December day. That was wrong. It is wrong. And nobody comes to these meetings and watch tonight's meeting, right? Nobody comes to these meetings. Tonight we have the press here for a change, but very few people come and monitor these meetings. You read your tax bill and realize, hey, there's something wrong here. This doesn't work. And agree with you completely. So it's just we need more public exposure, more visibility, and more people having awareness. People just don't figure out that, and that guy gets elected. So whoever we elect in December will control your taxes for 5 years. And you can come to meeting after meeting and tell him what you think, and he doesn't have to care much because 4 years, 11 months, and 10 days is when he has to worry about whether he's going to get reelected.
I understand that, sir. Is there any way that we possibly can change it? Can we vote on it?
We can shorten the time that you're elected fire commissioner. So somebody lobbies in New York State and says, hey, for the Eastchester Fire District, we want the year to be 3 years. Make it a 3-year election. We think we made progress by making it a November election. You may get a better candidate in the November election because in the November election, you're opening it up to a larger pool. You don't have to go out and start campaigning on a Tuesday in December. The campaigning will be easier in November. So that's my viewpoint. My viewpoint is November will help us. Having a 3-year term would help us even more.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Okay? And we can lobby for a 3-year term. You can lobby for a 3-year term. If anybody wants to start the campaign, all for it, you know, and
You also have to remember some of the history on why fire districts were created. Fire districts were created before, in some cases in New York State, before villages and towns were even developed or incorporated. So
I
there were
understand
fire
that, sir.
brigades, so that law goes back that far along. There were fire districts before there were towns in parts of New York State.
Well, I don't know about that, because I'm a retired firefighter from the city of New Rochelle, and I think they were incorporated before you people. I could be wrong, but I think they were. But, I mean, and there were volunteers there also.
Yeah.
Now there's no more volunteers in New Rochelle.
Right.
They're gone.
And that's another reason for the 2% cap, is we as fire commissioners are very difficult to manage, because a large percentage of our budget has to do with benefits and pay.
I understand that.
Right, so
I understand.
when pensions increase, the cost of that, and healthcare, it's very difficult to us to roll back. Actually, this year was less than 2%. You might not have even known that. It was one.
Oh, I do, I know it. That's what I'm saying. I couldn't understand why it was 7%.
1.98%. It wasn't even 2%. It was 1.98.
I have no idea what the raise was. That's why I said, why was it 7%? And everybody, if you look at my tax bill, everybody's under 2 except one, which is the sewer district, which
Yeah.
they got a 3%. But that's the reason I brought it out, and hopefully it could be, changed. But thank you, gentlemen, again.
Thanks for the awareness.
And thank you, and I hope you have a happy holiday.
you too. And Jerry made one good point there, the retirement system. We are locked, the retirement system is locked in at a 7.5% actuarial rate for the retirement system return. If the retirement system comes in under 7.5% annual return, they debit us the difference. I would love to have municipalities, whether it's us, Tuckahoe, and Eastchester, challenge that actuarial table from the retirement system or from the controller's office, the 7.5% actuarial table for an average return when treasuries yield 10-year notes,
So-
270, come on.
So I want to elaborate on that. So years ago, when the market was doing really well, right, the state was easily able to make that 7% up to fund the pension system. But now as things have gotten more difficult, money's going into bonds aren't making a lot of money.
Right.
We as local municipalities have to make up that difference for that pension shortfall.
Right.
And that's why,
That's what it is.
that's what it is.
I appreciate your input, and thank you very much for listening to me. Have a
Thank
nice
you for taking the time. I mean, we appreciate people coming.
Thank you.
Mr. Wolf?
Thank you, Chairman Winter. My name is Thomas Wolf. I'm a resident of the town of Eastchester, and of course that is co-terminus with the Eastchester Fire District. I have two questions I would like some clarification on. One you addressed this evening, and one at the last regular meeting, or excuse me, the last special meeting. You mentioned earlier this evening that there was an incident of a privileged piece of paper, privileged information on paper being faxed to a party that it should not have been faxed to, and that the fire district has sent 3 emails to the Eastchester Police Department asking them to investigate. Did I hear that correctly?
No,
They investigated it.
We asked the police department to investigate it. The chief and I met with one of their sergeants, detective sergeants, and we just haven't been able to get a status report back from them on what progress is made.
In other words, or then you out in 3 emails asking for a status, and they haven't responded?
Correct.
I think that there's something deficient when officials of a elected body, a district corporation in this case, request officials of a municipal corporation to respond for a status report and not give a status report. There's something really deficient in that particular case. Even just a reply that they have no new information to provide is something that I think, and that is something that
Actually,
they should do as a matter of courtesy.
We made a request for the police report that was recorded that day and haven't received it.
Well, they may feel that that's an internal communication, something that's privileged, but there hasn't been, in what you're indicating, there hasn't been too much in the way of response from the Eastchester Police Department.
Correct.
Don't think that works. The second thing, going to the special meeting. At that special meeting, there was a resolution to appoint, this was a chairman, people who would take election inspectors, other types of poll workers. That was passed at, I believe, that special meeting. But there was one area that was left blank. I think election custodians, or what may also be known as machine technicians.
Yeah, but the way we covered that, I think we allowed verbiage to have Mr. Andres, who's sitting behind you, appoint people as needed when he ran into these. I don't think we had the names of the custodians at the time. Tom, you got the custodians for using the mechanics from the county are going to come by, right? Isn't that who's come?
Well, he's in business for himself now, so he's a mechanic that goes at it, does these machines and fix them and set them up for the
When the, excuse me, sir. Sorry. When the Bronxville Union Free School District holds its annual election and budget vote, they also have to appoint a machine technician, and he's compensated at a particular rate. I'd like to inquire what the compensation rate will be for this gentleman.
I think it's not, it's more expensive than the $50 an hour. I'm pretty sure from last year's billing, it was, yeah, it was, yeah, I remember seeing it in last year's billing. I want to say, I could look it up, it was several $100s or more.
I think it was 2,200.
2,200?
But that,
Sometimes split, the year before split between two people. Last year it went to one person.
well, I will show you what the school paid this year for the May vote, and but I feel that this should be something, this was in the resolution that the Board of Education approved in April of this year for the May election, so I think that should be something that is approved by the board, that expenditure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't have enough detail on it tonight to do it, so I'd do it, but I don't. I take your point. Mary Smith.
Good evening, Mary Nagel-Smith, Bronxville. Following up on Mr. Wolf's comment about the privileged and confidential document that made its way to the union's attorney, I'd like to know what the board is planning to do to follow up. Has the council for Eastchester Fire District contacted the Eastchester Police Department, or was this just at the board level with the Eastchester Fire District, with the
It's at the board level with the Eastchester Police Department. What will end up happening if we get no response, we will go to the county DA's office. We have no other choice.
Right.
So if it's not responded to, we will go to the Public Integrity Unit of the DA's office. You have no other choice. That's what we have to do.
Right, that was my question. And what is the timeline for that?
We'll see how it goes, you know. But the council, our council advised us, if you don't hear back, you need to follow, you know, you need to follow your normal course. And that's our normal course.
And we did inform those people that their information was released.
And we did send letters to all the affected parties that their social security numbers were released, which was another time-consuming thing and a legal bill we had to eat up to find out what state laws and federal
Including
laws.
$250 in postage.
What laws are required what our legal obligations were for notification. We fulfilled all those legal obligations, but it was just burning up more time. And
Those letters had to go out in registered mail. It cost us another $250 to do that.
Right.
So,
No, I was just interested in knowing what the protocol was going forward, since there have been 3 non-responsive responses from the police department.
yep, that'll be,
So it goes to the district attorney's public
yeah,
integrity.
we need something in our records to say we filed a complaint, the complaint was answered, and there was something done. We have nothing to prove we did anything, we need to, and we can't get it, the county will have to give it to us.
Right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Anybody else? Okay, so we have payment of bills. Do you have the top sheet, Jerry?
That's right there.
Okay, so we've gone through all the bills that were delivered. Mike Grogan, the chief, has gone through all the bills. The treasurer has gone through all the bills. We sort one bill we're going to hold up on because the title of the company, Air Purification, Inc., has the wrong address and naming on the bill. They have the right address for the service was being provided, but they don't have the right billing address. So we're going to hold up on that bill. And we have a bill from Seaver Contracting that we're going to modify slightly because we think he should have held back more on his overage. So we're going to, instead of paying him $74,428.05, we're going to pay him $66,970.25. So $66,970.25. All the bills have been reviewed, and can I have a motion to pay the bills? And
Make a motion to pay the bills?
a second? All in, Commissioner Stiegelman?
Aye.
Commissioner?
Aye.
Aye.
And Commissioner Winter? Aye. So that's it on the bills. Opportunity for board member comment. Okay. I'll have, my comment is, John Lucenti, who just retired, who's been with us 39 years. I happen to be, I grew up working on things. My father was a mechanic. He taught me how to fix things. So I always had understood what John was doing and how he fixed things, and in granular detail how he fixed things. I could look when he's pulling a brake assembly apart or pulling an axle out or doing what he's doing. You could see how well he knew his trade. And he's a phenomenally good mechanic. He was a dedicated employee. He came to work, I don't know how many days he's missed, probably in a handful, except for the last year we had a few days off. But John is an extremely dedicated employee, extremely good mechanic. Skill set covered the universe. He could do anything on a piece of apparatus. Just a very talented man and a wonderful man, and he's going to be sorely missed by this department. He's just one of those people you really like when you're around, so I'm sorry John's retiring, and I hope we can find somebody to fill that slot. We're clearly not going to find somebody to replace John, but we'll find somebody to fill that slot. And I appreciated having John around the whole time I've been on the board, because I know if John's fixing it, it's fixed, it's getting fixed. So, we're sorry that John's retiring, but after 39 years, I think it's called for. So that would be my comment. And so do I have any other comments? Okay, motion to close the hearing, to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming. Have a good night.